The current situation has become complicated. The major forces in the city of Tianhai are not harmonious and frequently dispute with each other. Both sides harbor enmity towards Zhang Yi, covet this piece of land, and are determined to seize his refuge. Zhang Yi glanced at Zhou Kai's back, thinking to himself, as long as she obediently listens, it will be fine, and there should be no unnecessary thoughts. Then Zhang Yi erased the smile from his face and returned to his bedroom alone. He picked up his phone and called Xing Tian. "Hello," Xing Tian answered. "Zhang Yi, have you thought it over?" Zhang Yi nodded. "I have thought it over. We can cooperate, but I want to change the way we cooperate." Xing Tian showed curiosity. "Oh, how do you want to cooperate?" Zhang Yi replied, "According to the amount of food you mentioned, I will provide you with double, but in this battle, I must win." Xing Tian's expression became serious. "You want me to help you? That's not possible. The King Fu base always maintains a neutral stance. I do not want to fight you, and even less do I want war with the other three forces." Zhang Yi shook his head. "No, I don't need you or anyone else to fight. I just need you to bring your people and pretend to join the attack." Xing Tian was suspicious. "You want me to bring people to act in a play?" "Zhang Yi, what are you planning to do? If you want something, just say it directly to me." Zhang Yi smiled. "You don't need to worry about what I want to do. There is no conflict of interest between us, nor any hatred. Just bring your people here to perform a play, and I will give you 2 portions of food. Will you accept this offer?" Xing Tian pondered, realizing this was a good opportunity that he couldn't refuse, but he still didn't understand Zhang Yi's intentions. After careful consideration, he recognized that as long as he just performed a play, he wouldn't lose anything from his base. It was clear that Zhang Yi did not intend to harm him. Therefore, he laughed heartily. "Ha ha ha. Great, I can't refuse such a good opportunity. But first, you need to bring the food up front to show good faith." Xing Tian thought to himself, "In any case, agreeing doesn't cost me anything. An opportunity like this would be a waste to miss." Zhang Yi said, "I will give you 1/3 upfront as a deposit. After the task is completed, I will give you the remaining part." Xing Tian thought for a moment and then agreed. "Good. Tomorrow at 2:30 p.m., we will meet at the original location of the Xishan base to conduct the transaction." "Okay, it's settled then." After the conversation, Zhang Yi's plan gradually became clear. He placed the phone down on the bed and continued to think. He could have chosen for the King Fu base not to participate in the conflict, but instead opted to pay a higher price, inviting them to join as a true ally. This approach served 2 important purposes. First, if the King Fu base chose not to engage, Zhao Yu and the Yangsheng base would be more vigilant and cautious as they guarded against the worship the Snow Sect. If the worship the Snow Sect were to truly betray them, the outcome would not be as favorable as expected. However, with King Fu's participation, Zhao Yu and the Yangsheng base would feel more confident. At first glance, they seemed to be allied with the King Fu base and the worship the Snow Sect, but in the worst-case scenario, they could join forces to attack. Zhang Yi thought, if that happens, at worst, I can abandon the 2-story structure above ground and retreat underground, where the defenses are stronger. This is the worst-case scenario. Once it comes to that, I must make those people pay dearly. It was well past midnight when Zhang Yi's door was suddenly knocked on loudly. Zhang Yi, Yang Mai, she has changed." Outside, Zhou Kai's worried voice was heard. Zhang Yi hurriedly got up from the bed and said, "Let's go check." If he found that Yang Mai exhibited signs of losing control, he would not hesitate to eliminate her ability to act, even killing her if necessary. A mutant person is an existence full of uncertainties. Zhou Kai followed Zhang Yi closely, sensing his abnormality to the point of not daring to breathe loudly. Zhang Yi and Hua entered the room. Currently, the unusual signs such as sweating and flushing on Yang Mai's body have disappeared. She is gasping for breath while lying in bed, unable to move due to the effects of the injected medication. Yang Mai, Zhang Yi calls gently without approaching. Yang Mai slowly opens her eyes, sees Zhang Yi, and tries to put on a happy smile. "Zhang Yi, I have succeeded." Hua suddenly jumps onto the bed, walks a few steps on Yang Mai, and then looks at Zhang Yi with a calm gaze. Zhang Yi feels at ease upon seeing this. A cat's intuition is 100 times stronger than that of a human. If there were any abnormalities with Yang Mai, even a slight change in her breath, Hua would definitely notice. Hua is signaling that Yang Mai is perfectly fine, still the familiar woman. Zhang Yi thinks to himself, "Am I worrying too much? Ice B has been verified by the 4 great bases. There is no issue, and it does not cause any side effects." However, he quickly dismisses this thought. It's always good to be cautious and to prioritize suspicion over trust. Zhang Yi does not release Yang Mai from her restraints, but asks, "How do you feel now? What ability have you awakened? When a viewing person awakens their ability, they will immediately know what it is, just like someone growing an extra arm, clearly feeling its existence and how to use it. Yang Mai closes her eyes to sense her new ability, then suddenly laughs and says, "Ha, I really am only suited for housework." Her face does not show disappointment. On the contrary, she seems very satisfied with her ability. She introduced herself to Zhang Yi. "My ability is to create food that helps others recover their expended superpower." She continued, "It is indeed a supportive ability, which is also good. I am not very skilled in combat anyway." Zhang Yi looked at her attentively. "That is truly a useful ability. While fighting, we won't need to worry about exhausting our superpower too much." He turned to Zhou Kai Ne. "Kai Ne, please help her untie her bindings." Zhou Kai Ne, with admiring eyes, stepped forward to help Yang Mai remove the ropes. However, due to the effects of the drug, Yang Mai still couldn't move. Zhang Yi said with a gentle smile, "When you recover tomorrow, please show everyone your ability." "Yes, I will," Yang Mai replied. Although her face was drenched in sweat, there was a glimmer of light in her eyes. Finally, she could do something for everyone, proving that she was not useless. As Zhang Yi helped Yang Mai sit up, he thought to himself, the ability to create food to replenish superpower is not powerful, but extremely useful. A big battle is coming, and having an additional support like her is a good thing. Grey Ordnance was right. The effectiveness of Ice Bead depends on individual potential. Yang Mei's potential only reached a certain level. Even when awakened, her superpower would only be of a supportive type. This feeling was quite similar to Lai Jian's case. Zhang Yi contemplated the remaining ice beat in his hand. After careful consideration, he decided not to use it for the time being. He could not rush into creating a mutant person. He needed to observe Yang Mai for a while longer before deciding whether to let Zhao Kai Ni or Lu Keiran use it. By noon the next day, Zhang Yi called Xing Tian and told him to come here, changing the meeting place to Sujia Town in Lujai. After hearing this, Xing Tian frowned. "Isn't that your territory?" Zhang Yi smiled. "I'm also being targeted now, not just you. I need to be careful. There can't be any mistakes. You don't suspect I have other intentions towards you, do you?" The meeting time was set for 2:30 p.m., but Zhang Yi had no intention of sticking to it from the start. He knew that establishing a time and place would create opportunities for the other side to ambush. Zhang Yi always wanted to eliminate any uncertainties. Xing Tian coldly replied, "Fine, do as you wish. We'll meet in Sujia Town." Zhang Yi had obtained some information about Xing Tian's group. Although he did not understand the individual abilities of each member, he knew that Xing Tian did not have many followers. Only when not relying on refuge did Zhang Yi face difficulties in directly confronting bases or high-level forces. The distance from King Fu's steel mill to Yun Kui Manor was about 100 kilometers. Xing Tian and his group rarely left their territory. Therefore, determining a specific time for their meeting was quite difficult, and both sides agreed that they would contact each other upon arrival in Sujia Town. Their group moved slowly, which made Zhang Yi suspicious of the convenience of the transportation they were using. However, while acting in his own territory, he did not feel afraid. Zhang Yi called Uncle Wang and Chun Lai along with Hua Hua to prepare to leave. Meanwhile, Liang Yu was still lost in her own world, unable to find a way out. She became strange, no longer complaining to anyone, but sitting alone in her room every day, holding her sword in silence and reflecting. Zhang Yi was unsure whether her current state was good or bad, so he decided not to disturb her and did not invite her to join the action. Their group got into the car and carefully made their way to the riverbank on the other side. Xing Tian and his group had arrived in Sujia Town, just as Zhang Yi had predicted, and their means of transportation was quite simple. They used dogs to pull sleds. This was not surprising, as no one expected a group of steelworkers to be able to improve vehicles, especially since they lacked fuel sources like In Yang Sheng or Zhao Yu. Their sled dogs were very large, with a strong resistance to cold. They were easy to care for and could eat a variety of foods. The workers in the group were also skilled in dog training, enabling the dogs to be both effective in combat and pulling sleds. On the back of one of the dogs sat a pretty little girl, her eyes facing forward in the cold wind. When Hoa Hoa and the sled dog saw each other, both bristled and growled. The girl on the sled gently stroked the dog's head. You, be good, don't bark at people anymore." Xing Tian was not wearing combat gear, but was still dressed in the gray-blue work clothes of a laborer. He didn't even wear a padded jacket despite the extremely cold weather, yet he didn't flinch or grimace at all. His small but agile body seemed to be made of steel, with well-toned muscles. The workers around him were equally impressive. Working year-round in the steel mill made them look as sturdy as if they were made of metal. No one wanted to confront an army as solid as steel. Ha ha ha! Long time no see old classmate Sing Tian suddenly laughed loudly. I didn't expect after 10 years without seeing each other we would meet again in such circumstances. Zhang Yi smiled indeed. I thought we would meet at a class reunion, having a few drinks together. Looking at how well you have integrated and stabilized yourself now, you have done quite well and become an important figure in Tian High City. Sing Tian sighed. Who would have thought that someone like me, who was insignificant in school, would have come this far? Although it was a sigh, it was essentially boasting. Zhang Yi smirked, knowing that Sing Tian was someone who longed for praise and admiration to make up for the years of insecurity and insignificance in the past. According to the agreement between the two parties, Zhang Yi took out 1/3 of the food as a deposit to hand over to Sing Tian. Sing Tian had gathered enough people, and the sled team was not small, capable of hauling all this food back. Obtaining food without having to battle for it made Sing Tian very excited. Zhang Yi deliberately put on a pained expression, which made Sing Tian even more pleased. Sing Tian laughed and said, Zhang Yi, you don't need to regret this food. Collaborating with our King Fu base will definitely be worth it. Zhang Yi smirked, narrowed his eyes, and said to Sing Tian, do you remember? Back in high school, I fought with those guys from the neighboring class. Sing Tian nodded, recalling that it indeed happened. It seems like those hoodlums were teasing our classmate Fan Xingsheng. The person Fan Xingsheng secretly loves is you. Zhang Yi continued. At that time, the 5 of them were attacking me alone. I knew I couldn't win, so I grabbed the smallest one and hit him, causing him to lose 3 teeth. Zhang Yi pointed at Sing Tian, his gaze gradually becoming fierce. This time I will give you food, hoping that you will honor our agreement, but if you betray me, even if your whole group comes to attack, I will not hesitate to ignore the others just to drag you down with me. Zhang Yi continued. At that moment, the 2 of us will die together, and we'll see if your King Fu base in Tianhai can survive. Sing Tian was terrified by Zhang Yi's words, instinctively swallowing hard. Ha ha, Zhang Yi, don't underestimate me, Sing Tian replied, always living by a sense of righteousness. Just wait and see. Zhang Yi smiled. If that's how you feel, then that's good. I don't wish for my old classmate to go through a bloody ordeal. Sing Tian ordered his men to bring the food and left Sujia town. Before leaving, he remained cautious, occasionally turning back to glance at Zhang Yi. In fact, his original plan was to ask for some women from Sujia town, but he had forgotten about that. After they left, Zhang Yi also called Uncle Lang and the others back to the refuge. Let's go, we, to prepare for an upcoming battle, Uncle Lang said. I hope our food supply doesn't turn out to be in vain, otherwise we'll be wasting everything. Zhang Yi countered. The supplies for them are just from the things we took from the Xaishan base. Those things aren't that great, as long as there is peace. With my abilities and Chun Lei's, we can have anything we want, no need to regret. Uncle Lang laughed and said, I'm just worried that we're inviting trouble for ourselves. If they betray us, we'll suffer a huge loss. It's really frustrating to treat someone well and then have them act contrary to that. No, they probably wouldn't dare, Zhang Yi said in a calm but confident tone. Even though over 10 years have passed, Sing Weinen's character hasn't changed much. A person's nature is very hard to change. From a low-level character like Sing Tian, he has become the leader of a large power with strong super abilities, which means he has exceptional leadership and intelligence. Therefore, his way of working is very cautious, unwilling to risk war with others. He was very afraid of losing what he had, clinging to what he possessed and not daring to take risks to attack. I have made him see the benefits of not risking a fight with us. Zhang Yi continued. He chose not to take action, but still gained the greatest advantages. In fact, most people have a mindset like that, and Zhang Yi was no exception. He put himself in the shoes of others, thinking if he were Sing Tian in a situation where he could not determine the strength of the opponent, he would gladly accept the food and leave. After all, 10 beasts in the forest are not as valuable as a bird in hand. Of course, we cannot rule out the possibility that they might betray us. After all, they've also prepared to deal with every potential scenario. Zhang Yi and the group returned to the refuge. As soon as they entered the living room, they smelled the familiar aroma of food. But today, this scent was even more intense, uplifting everyone's spirits as soon as they caught a whiff of it. Zhang Yi's eyes shined. He guessed who was cooking. Upon entering the kitchen, he indeed saw Yang Mei, who was slowly recovering, focused on her cooking. Several women around her were captivated, completely enchanted by the delicious aroma of the food. When Yang Mei saw Zhang Yi return, her eyes lit up. She excitedly said, Zhang Yi, I have learned how to use the superpower. Come quickly to try the dish I made. Zhang Yi's eyes sparkled. He smiled and said, Oh, you have mastered it already? That's wonderful. He calmly changed into a set of clothes, then walked towards the kitchen. Zhang Yi cheerfully asked everyone, It seems like everyone has enjoyed Yang Mai's dish, right? Liu Keiran excitedly nodded. That's right, Zhang. Yang Mei's food is delicious. Moreover, it seems to have a kind of magic. After eating, people feel full of energy and very enthusiastic. Zhang Yi thought to himself, it seems that the food made by Yang Mai using superpower is effective not only for mutant persons but also for ordinary people. This is really convenient. Eating can only help restore physical strength, but restoring mental energy is indeed a huge challenge. In the kitchen at the table, Zhang Yi met Liang Yu. At this moment, her spirit was very good, clearly much better than before. Zhang Yi curiously asked Yang Mai, Liang Yu, you didn't feel any discomfort after eating her food. Yang Mai proudly said, Of course, eating my cooking not only makes you alert but also boosts your spirit 100-fold. It can even eliminate negative states in the body. Zhang Yi was very surprised, thinking to himself that the effect of this dish was no different from a miraculous stimulant. Yang Mai handed Zhang Yi a bowl of chestnut porridge, her eyes full of hope. Zhang Yi, you should give it a try too. Looking into Yang Mai's clear eyes, Zhang Yi found it inappropriate to refuse in front of everyone. He smiled and accepted it, gently walking over to Hua Hua. The enticing aroma made him sure it would be very delicious. It seems there's no problem, Zhang Yi said, while secretly scooping a spoonful of porridge into Hua Hua's mouth. Hua Hua sniffed around, and then his eyes immediately became clearer, quickly eating it up. Seeing Hua Hua enjoy the food, Zhang Yi finally felt relieved and took a small sip. As soon as the spoon of porridge touched his lips, he felt a strange energy begin to spread throughout his body. All feelings of fatigue seemed to be swept away, and he became extremely alert, even wanting to lie down on the ground and do 100 push-ups right away. Indeed, it's a good thing. Zhang Yi couldn't help but praise. Then, Hua Hua excitedly grabbed Zhang Yi's bowl, and Yang Mai happily served another bowl for Hua Hua. Yang Mai had awakened her superpower. Although it was a supportive type, its effects were truly remarkable, making everyone feel joyful. After all, a big battle was about to take place, and having such support was indeed a good thing. Zhou Kaini and Liu Keiran also looked on enviously, hoping Zhang Yi would soon use the remaining ice beat. Zhang Yi comforted them a bit, planning to observe for a while longer. Only Yang Xin was not very interested in the ice beat. She believed that her intellect was the best superpower. On the contrary, using the ice beat might only add unnecessary burden for her. Initially, Zhang Yi only conducted a hasty experiment once, but after not discovering anything unusual, he felt completely at ease. He continued to ask Yang Mai for detailed information about her superpower. Yang Mai did not hold back, describing her abilities in detail to Zhang Yi. Since she had just awakened her superpower, she could only conjure a limited amount of food each time, about 5 servings per portion. The strength of this ability lies in its capacity to quickly restore a person's state, including the superpowers of mutant individuals. After hearing this, Zhang Yi asked Yang Mai, can your superpower in food production preserve its effectiveness? I mean, does its effect diminish over time? Upon hearing this, Yang Mai appeared uncertain. Actually, I have never tested on others, but I tried it on myself and found that freshly prepared food is more effective. Zhang Yi replied, this is not important. From now on, please prepare various types of food. It would be best to have things that quickly provide energy like energy bars. Let me handle any issues that arise. Zhang Yi thought to himself, as long as Yang Mai finishes preparing the food and preserves it in the superpower space, there is no need to worry about its effectiveness. Thus, Zhang Yi can use this method to obtain a large amount of recovery food. In the future, those with superpowers will undoubtedly become the main force on the battlefield, and this type of food will become a strategic resource. According to information from Worship the Snow Sect and Sing Tian, 3 days later, the major forces will unite and attack Zhang Yi's refuge. This battle in name is to avenge Zhang Yi for killing a member of the 2 major bases. In reality, everyone knows this is just a way to carve up territory and cleanse the sphere of influence. 3 days later, the 4 forces left a portion of their defensive strength at the base. The rest, under their leadership, headed towards Lujiang, which is next to the Yunque Manor. They had thoroughly negotiated and decided to begin their attack at 2 p.m. Since they could not foresee the scene inside the icy barriers, they could not anticipate everything. Even when planning an ambush, they could find themselves in a disadvantaged combat situation and easily fall prey to traps. However, with the advantage in numbers, a straightforward frontal assault was the best choice. At Yangsheng Base, the mobilized troops were truly impressive. For the first time, they deployed 15 vehicles, including construction vehicles used for siege and camouflage armored vehicles. Throughout the city of Tianhai, only Yangsheng Base could mobilize such a convoy. On the 3rd armored vehicle, the leader of Yangsheng Base, Xiao Hong Lian, dressed in red combat gear, was calculating something with a sharp gaze like a hawk. Her ability was very special, known as the Purgatory Furnace. Through the use of fire, she could not only enhance her physical strength, but also dissolve everything with high temperatures. In terms of superpower classification, she possessed both enhancement and attack abilities with extremely strong combat skills. Because of her exceptionally bright flames, her combat outfit was also a vibrant red. The convoy was heading towards Yunque Manor. Xiao Hong Lion held a communication device, continuously calling the leaders of the 3 other major forces, asking them to approach Yunque Manor at the scheduled time. She impatiently asked, "Had your people arrived? Are they in position?" Everything was almost perfect, and only upon receiving their confirmation would she feel completely at ease. Shuj King Ting maintained a sorrowful expression and said, "This morning when we set out, the flagpole at the exit unexpectedly fell down." Xiao Hong Lion looked at him with a faint smile. "You are still superstitious as usual." Shuj King Ting shook his head. "It's not superstition, I'm just feeling worried. This feeling is growing stronger. A major battle like this since the apocalypse began we have never participated in. We have never mobilized so many forces for a battle that could affect the fate of Yangsheng base." Xing Ting thought to himself, if we lose this battle, the consequences would be unimaginable. Shuj King Ting kept this thought in his heart, but did not dare to voice it in front of Xiao Hong Lian. Xiao Hong Lian, without hesitation, confidently stated, "We will definitely win. The collapse of the Xishan base was caused by ballistic missiles launched from Jiangman, not Zhang Yi, a small hiding place with fewer than 10 people. Even if they are mutant persons, so what? Moreover, this time the 4 factions are acting together. Eliminating them will be as easy as turning over one's hand." Xiao Hong Lion calmly said, "If I were worried about the consequences, I wouldn't even need the support of the other 3 factions. Don't worry. This time, no unexpected events can occur. In Tianhai City, no force should exist that can withstand the combined attack of our 4 factions." Xiao Hong Lion appeared very cautious and confident. Because he wasn't clear about Zhang Yi's true strength, Xiao Hong Lion decided to give up part of the benefits to call for support from the 4 major forces. After a moment of silence, Zhuge King Ting finally spoke. "I worry that the others are unreliable." Xiao Hong Lian unexpectedly burst into laughter. "Ha ha! Of course they are unreliable. They are all just bloodthirsty savages. As soon as they smell blood, they will fight each other to join the battle." She stopped laughing, her eyes sharp as a knife. "That's why they can be trusted, at least at this battle. Because Zhang Yi is like a juicy piece of meat, they will scramble to get the biggest bite. We are all the same, enjoying overpowering the weak, especially when the target is both plump and feeble. Who could resist that temptation?" Xiao Hong Lion had no doubts about the outcome of this plan. Even if Zhang Yi might be in a fortified shelter, she along with Wu Huai Ren and other experts would go to break down that refuge. As Zhang Yi had said before, though their Xishan stronghold had been wiped out, no one knew how they had done it. Therefore, almost everyone believed that Zhang Yi and his group played no significant role in that event. They just thought it was luck, striking a big bargain. With this thought, Xiao Hong Lion entered Weidinghe, viewing Zhang Yi as a prime target. Shuj King Ting nodded. "I think so too. After all, from a strength perspective, we cannot lose." Xiao Hong Lion continued, "Don't worry too much. When we win, we will celebrate together, and then you will understand the joy of victory." A smile appeared on Zhuge King Ting's face. "You are right. Perhaps I am just too tense." After that, the convoy raced along the snow-covered road, continuing towards the Yunque Manor. At the shelter, Zhang Yi learned about the enemy's attack plan at 2 p.m. For safety reasons, everyone had been awake since early morning to prepare for this great battle. The Yunque Manor is situated in a prime location, nestled against the mountains and by the river. 2 low mountains behind it form a shape resembling an armchair facing the Lu River. Therefore, to attack the Yunque Manor, one cannot approach from the back. It can only be accessed from the vast open area in front. With the impending battle, Liang Yu's spirit was markedly different from the previous days. Throughout that day, she did not speak to anyone, but her hand tightly gripped the sword, her gaze filled with an uncontrollable killing intent. She still believed that her students had died at the hands of those at the Yangsheng base. Thus, Liang Yu was eager to find the right opportunity to eliminate more people from the Yangsheng base to avenge her students. As she prepared to turn and leave, Zhang Yi called out to her from behind. "Liang Yu, I'll lend you this." Liang Yu turned back, and Zhang Yi threw her a sword. Liang Yu's eyes immediately lit up. She was clearly excited because it was the dragon sword she adored. "Make sure to return it to me after this battle," Zhang Yi said casually. He wasn't participating in the frontline combat, so allowing Liang Yu to use the dragon sword would be more effective. Zhang Yi organized everyone, First, he arranged the first defense line. Lion Yu, Uncle Wang, Chun Lai, and Ho Ho were all dispatched to the front line while he himself stayed in the refuge. Zhang Yi explained his reasoning. I am not skilled in martial arts, nor am I strong in close combat, but in the rear, I can utilize the space portal and my ambush abilities to maximize my strengths. You are the mutant personnel fighting at the front, and the refuge will provide maximum support. Everyone agreed with Zhang Yi's opinion. Although Zhang Yi never claimed to be the official leader, in reality, he was the leader of everyone. His orders were naturally followed by all, even Chun Lai, the most timid among them, had to appear serious in the battle. After assigning tasks to the frontline personnel, Zhang Yi turned back and began directing the logistics team. He repeated what he had said many times, emphasizing once more before entering the battle. Kai Ne, be ready to take care of the injured. Yang Mai, you should rest and try to prepare superpower food to help us regain our strength. Yang Mai and Zhao Kai Ni nodded seriously. Zhang Yi looked at Yang Xin and Liu Qiran. Xin, you will control all the firepower equipment at the front line. We have many weapon placements, and not everyone can operate them simultaneously. Moreover, among these people, there may be forces that support us or at least remain neutral. You need to follow my orders when firing. Yang Xin, with a mischievous smile on her lips and her face flushed with excitement, finally had the opportunity to defeat the enemy herself. That's great, Zhang Yi. Xin will be your reliable assistant. As for Liu Qiran, she currently had no specific mission, as her main abilities involved inspecting and adjusting weapons and equipment before combat, as well as checking the firepower systems. Zhang Yi requested her to stay close to Yang Xin, ready to assist if necessary. After distributing the tasks, Zhang Yi said to them, Great, now let's return to your positions. The enemy could attack at any moment. Don't be too tense. This battle could end quickly or drag on. If it drags on for too long, it will definitely become uncontrollable. After finishing his words, Zhang Yi turned and made his way to the second floor of the shelter. As before, he gathered all the important items on the second floor and completed preparations for the possibility of the shelter being attacked, even though the likelihood of this was less than 5%. Seeing Zhang Yi's back as he went upstairs alone, many women in their hearts wished to follow him and fight together. However, they also understood that Zhang Yi did not like anyone disrupting his plans till each of them returned to their positions and awaited the enemy's appearance. Zhang Yi arrived at the second floor, but this time he climbed up to the attic. The space here is not large, only about 50 square meters, equivalent to the size of a bathroom in the hideout. Zhang Yi came here simply because it is the highest point in the hideout, allowing him to observe a long distance. Moreover, there are many windows around the attic, and the roof extends the view. There is no doubt that this is the perfect hiding spot and sniping position. Zhang Yi stood by the window, looking for the floor-to-ceiling glass. In the distance, after the great battle with the Caixin base, the entire area in front of the Yunque Mansion was almost flattened. Not far away is the Lujiang River, opposite which lies a series of snow-covered houses in Sujia town. Looking east and west, there is nothing but a vast white snow plain. Previously, this area had buildings and dense forests. But after the apocalypse, snowstorms destroyed everything around. The thick snow has created a completely blank area with nothing at all. This place is very suitable for a surprise attack. Zhang Yi took out a heavy sniper rifle from his superpower space. He looked at the rifle with sharp eyes, then took out a few boxes of ammunition for the sniper rifle and placed them beside him. After that, he pulled a chair over, making it convenient for sniping without being affected by shaky legs. Even though the battle might last long, he still needed to take breaks. After everything was prepared, he said, System, open the window. The spatial door was tightly shut in front of the window, blocking any risks from the outside. Zhang Yi's next step was to wait for the image of the enemy to appear within his sight. Zhang Yi was not a skilled martial artist. Although he had previously defeated Lang Feng in a one-on-one battle, he remained convinced that he was not good at close combat. Despite possessing enhanced physical abilities and having trained in martial arts with Liang Yu for some time, he instinctively avoided close combat because it was not his strength. To always win, one must either choose suitable opponents and avoid confronting stronger foes, or leverage one's strengths and steer clear of weaknesses. This was why he did not go out to confront the enemy directly. After absorbing Lang Feng's superpower, Zhang Yi's superpower significantly increased. He not only gained the ability of divine power, but his other abilities also improved markedly. Zhang Yi thought to himself that today he only needed to do two things. First, before the battle began, try to eliminate as many of the enemy's regular soldiers as possible. The heavy losses among those soldiers would surely affect the morale of the enemy. Moreover, even if they were just ordinary soldiers, they remained a valuable armed force for the major powers. The enemy might soon abandon their attack plan and choose to retreat if the losses were too great. If he could defeat the enemy without having to fight, that would be the best outcome for Zhang Yi. On Monday, Zhang Yi wanted to use the power of the spatial door to support Lang Yu, Uncle Wang, and others in defense. Today, he only needed to focus on these two tasks. After completing them, he would decide to withdraw from the defense line, first bringing everyone back to the hideout. After all, he did not want to allow any enemies to approach him. At the refuge, everyone had been waiting since morning until noon, not daring to let their guard down. When hungry, they ate energy bars to replenish their strength. Yang Mai had prepared superpower food for them, but it could only be consumed after the battle began, as it was an important strategic supply of superpower. Finally, around 1 p.m., Zhang Yi noticed an unusual sign on the snowy field through the binoculars, and everyone paid attention that the enemy had appeared. Zhang Yi informed them via the communication device. Each person's gaze became extremely vigilant, and then they quickly prepared for battle. Especially Lang Yu, her fighting emotions seemed uncontrollable. However, Zhang Yi's next words about the distance being 5 kilometers caught everyone off guard. Although the atmosphere was quiet, no one dared to let their guard down and could only wait for the opponent to attack. The first group to arrive is from the Zhao Yu base. Compared to other forces, they have less to worry about. After all, the most important assets of the Zhao Yu base are the port and the ships, which cannot be used by outsiders. Therefore, they chose to arrive early to secure the highest attacking position. Each household fights on their own, and no one can give orders to anyone else. However, whether it is Wai Dinghe or Xiao Hong Lian, they are both confident in their superiority, believing that with strength alone, they can overwhelm Zhang Yi. The convoy from the snowy fields slowly approaches. They are driving a dozen modified cars, each filled with soldiers from the Zhao Yu base, fully equipped with weapons. As they near the Yunkui estate, they encounter a fence made of ice and snow, standing 20 meters high, looking very impressive. Wai Jinghe said, "The other groups don't seem to have arrived yet. Let's stop here. Who will take the position with favorable terrain? Then we can use our firepower to directly attack their refuge." Chen Jingguan held the telescope and looked out the window, mocking. They cleverly used ice blocks to create a defensive structure, but it's not enough to make a significant impact. How could such a construction withstand a barrage from mortars? Moreover, its existence actually becomes an advantage for us. They certainly did not anticipate this. However, Wai Dinghe did not laugh. He said seriously, "The first thing to understand is that with such limited forces, they were able to build such a magnificent barrier. This indicates that among them, there must be a powerful new person. This will be a conquest. Without obstacles, it can't even be called a war. However, I am truly interested in the person hiding within it. If they are not dead, I might seriously consider letting them work for me." Chen Jingguan nodded. That would be the greatest honor for them. The convoy slowed down and did not continue forward, but stopped a few kilometers away. The vehicles carried many heavy weapons, and they were prepared to launch a long-range attack to destroy the thick and heavy ice and snow barrier of the enemy. As the convoy stopped, the soldiers readied the weapons on the vehicles towards the defensive line. However, the windshield of the car in front was completely shattered. At the same time, the driver's head was also crushed. It was not pierced by a bullet, but resembled a watermelon smashed after a shockwave explosion. The enemy was ambushing. A soldier below shouted and then used the communication device to inform everyone. But just a second later, a bullet pierced through his chest, creating a large hole in his torso. The soldiers who were preparing to adjust their weapons panicked and cried out as they were suddenly ambushed. In a vehicle in the middle of the convoy, Wai Dinghe and Jing Guan were also startled upon receiving news of the enemy. Around them was an expanse of snow, with no place to take cover. Where did the enemy come from? Moreover, according to intelligence, there were only fewer than 10 people inside the hideout. Did they dare to ambush an elite unit? This was no different from suicide. Although unclear about the current situation, Wai Dinghe still ordered everyone stay alert to find the enemy. The soldiers of the Zhao Yu base had undergone professional training. Although they could not match the professional soldiers of the Xaishan base, there were many mercenaries, professional guards, and bodyguards among them. Upon receiving the order, they quickly loaded their weapons and used their vehicles for cover while carefully searching for the enemy hidden in the shadows. Bang! A loud explosion erupted. A soldier next to the destroyed front vehicle was truly caught off guard. Zhang Yi used an anti-tank sniper rifle capable of penetrating armored vehicles. When the bullet hits a person even with a light touch, the result is explosive. Many soldiers had left the vehicle, preparing to attack the defensive line with firepower, but were completely unaware of the enemy 3 kilometers away. As a result, they became living targets on the snowy field, unable to dodge, all being shot dead one by Zhang Yi. Bang, bang, bang. 3 soldiers who had no time to move were shot dead on the spot. Half of their bodies turned into a shower of blood scattering everywhere. The anti-tank sniper rifle has a large caliber, delivering tremendous destructive power. Compared to dirt, the human body is much weaker. The soldiers at Zhang Yi base were not professional soldiers. Most of them were only assembled and trained for a short time. In the face of this horrifying death scene, they were so terrified that their faces turned pale, even forgetting to flee. The outcome awaiting them was nothing more than cold bullets. Quickly, the white snowy field was covered in dark red stains. This horrific death scene oddly stood out in the snowy field. The deaths of many soldiers pushed Zhao Yu base into a powerless state, unable to prepare. Although death is commonplace on the battlefield, they were not professional soldiers and never thought they would encounter a sniper attacking them from a distance in such a desolate environment. It was precisely due to the lack of information about Zhang Yi's capabilities that Zhao Yu base fell into a state of panic. They were unaware of what kind of opponent they were facing, simply thinking that they had a sniper attacking them. A soldier at the Zhao Yu base turned pale as he watched his comrade get shot dead. He couldn't comprehend where the bullets were coming from. A team leader ordered for the communication device for everyone. Sniper detected, quickly locate and eliminate him. At the same time, the snipers at the Zhao Yu base also steadied their rifles, aiming towards Zhang Yi. As experienced soldiers, they relied on the shots already fired to determine Zhang Yi's position. However, through the scope, they could not see further than 3 kilometers. All they saw was a blinding expanse of white snow. They were bewildered in an instant. Where are the bullets coming from? One sniper wondered aloud, unable to understand, why can't we find the sniper? Just a second later, his head was also shattered. Each shot fired inevitably claimed a life. Even with their precautions, this made the troops at the Zhao Yu base feel uneasy. Zhang Yi said nothing and continued to fire silently. The shooting distance was not an issue, nor was accuracy. As long as those soldiers exposed any part of their body, he would not hesitate to pull the trigger. The head appearing first would lead to a targeted shot, and exposed legs resulted in injury. At such low temperatures, just being exposed meant certain death. In the snowy environment, gunfire rang out continuously, with soldiers falling one after another. Their deaths were all extremely tragic, with some even hiding behind vehicles, yet both them and the vehicles were shot through. From beginning to end, they could not locate the enemy's position. Wai Dinghe clenched his teeth in anger and said, "Using us as targets to shoot at is truly reckless." In such a situation, Wai Dinghe could no longer remain still. After Zhang Yi continuously shot dead 15 soldiers, suddenly a blizzard rose around the convoy. Soon, the snowstorm covered the sky, enveloping the entire convoy, and the whole fleet vanished from Zhang Yi's sight. Zhang Yi temporarily paused his actions. The ability of ice and snow seemed similar to Chun-Li's powers. He smirked and then continued to observe through the scope. "Let's see how long your abilities can last. If you want to continue your assault, I don't believe you won't move." He thought to himself, just wait for the opponent to reveal a flaw, just that. Sitting in the vehicle, Wai Dinghe used the ability to summon a snowstorm to temporarily protect the convoy. However, this was not a long-term solution, as the distance from them to the Yunque Manor was still very far. At this position was just a snowfield with no suitable cover to be found. Maintaining superpowers for too long would deplete his energy, affecting future battles. Wai Dinghe ordered that the urgent task now was to locate the sniper hiding in the darkness. Why could they find his position? He expressed his anger, but no one could provide a reasonable explanation. In this snowfield, there essentially were no suitable hiding spots. Moreover, from the positions of over 10 dead soldiers, it could be inferred that this was an ambush from above. But surrounding them was only the sky, without a single tree in sight. Chen Jingguang pointed to the hiding place and said, "I think there must be a very powerful mutant sniper in Zhang Yi's team. The position of the sniper is definitely in that direction. Therefore, these bullets must have been fired from his hiding spot." Wai Dinghe suddenly shrank his pupils, but this place is over 3 kilometers away from the hiding spot. He had fired more than 10 shots continuously and still had leftover strength. Could it be that he didn't conserve power for assassinating people from our base? From this information, both Wai Dinghe and Chen Jingguang drew a terrifying conclusion. That sniper possesses terrifying strength, not only a powerful superpower, but also a large reserve of superpower energy to the extent that he can waste superpower on ordinary soldiers. If this continues, it will only increase casualties. After a while, Wai Dinghe firmly ordered the convoy to withdraw immediately. Now that other forces have not gathered in full strength, we do not need to sacrifice unnecessarily. It is best to retreat out of his shooting range. At this moment, Wai Dinghe's orders were communicated to each soldier. Everyone immediately returned to their vehicles, and then each vehicle began to turn around to withdraw. Wai Dinghe maintained the snowstorm to obscure Zhang Yi's view. However, the sight of more than 10 vehicles turning around in the snow was certainly a large action, making it inevitable that some vehicles would be detected. Zhang Yi knew they could execute the withdrawal. Therefore, he waited until the distance between the enemy and the hiding place was about 3 kilometers before acting. Such a range of damage is enough for his sniper rifle to penetrate armored vehicles, not to mention those armored vehicles modified from ordinary cars. Bang! A bullet struck precisely the tire of a vehicle. The air from the tire deflated and the suspension system was severely affected, causing the vehicle to lose control. Zhang Yi calmly reloaded and continued to fire. Another vehicle was penetrated, rendering it immobile. Inside the vehicle, the anxious voices of the soldiers began to rise. The vehicle can't move. What do we do now? The soldiers inside the vehicle started to panic and plead. Don't leave us behind. Please find a way to save us. Once we get out of the vehicle, we'll become live targets. They knew that the silent attacker was a mutant person with long-range attack abilities, which filled them with dread. This was even scarier than an ordinary sniper. At least an ordinary sniper has many limitations and can be countered. But with this type of attack, they had no chance to fight back and could only passively take the hits. A small mistake could lead to death. On a vehicle filled with soldiers, Wai Dinghe could not abandon them. He commanded, "Slow down so the soldiers in that vehicle can change positions." The convoy slowed down, but Wai Dinghe intensified the range of the snowstorm to prevent Zhang Yi from continuing his attack. Such a great distance rendered his superpower ineffective. However, for Zhang Yi, shooting accurately was best. This attack ability did not require aiming. In fact, it wasn't a problem at all. After all, his bullets only needed to make slight contact, making the victim practically irretrievable. The convoy moved through the snowstorm, choosing a close formation to reduce the drag of the blizzard, causing the vehicles to be quite close together. The Zhao Yu base quickly repositioned the soldiers. However, once again, they heard the sharp whistling of bullets near their ears. Bang! 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 Many soldiers had been shot through the legs. Although the sniper fire was not intense, the sharp sound was enough to spread fear. An experienced soldier shouted in anger, "Shit! Our armored vehicle is too weak to withstand this anti-tank sniper rifle." He had fought for a lifetime, but had never felt such humiliation. Despite enduring the shame, they had no alternative because they lacked such strong capabilities. The bullets continued to fire at each vehicle, producing a terrifying sound. The soldiers inside the vehicle dared not trust the protective capabilities of the armored car. They lay down inside, hoping to dodge the incoming bullets. But even doing so, some were struck. Wai Dinghe sat inside the vehicle, hearing the desperate cries from outside, and his face turned pale. "Get out of here quickly. Increase speed, and don't worry about the injured. They're unlikely to survive anyway." The gunfire echoed continuously across the snowy field, with each shot sending chills down the spines of those in the Zhao Yu base. Even after improvements, vehicles that were hit struggled to hold up. Chen Jinggong anxiously said, "If this continues, I don't know how many more he will kill. Let me go outside." He spoke and then opened the car door, jumping out. In the freezing snowstorm, he moved like a flexible superhero, leaping up from behind the car and swiftly shielding the last 2 vehicles. Immediately after, his body began to stretch out, resembling a large piece of cowhide, protecting the rears of the last vehicles. Bang! A sniper bullet hit him squarely, but it was not enough to cause destruction. In an instant, the bullet fell onto the snowy ground, losing all its power. A look of pain appeared on Chen Jinggong's face. He thought to himself, "The power of this bullet is too great. Although my mutant person's abilities can withstand most physical impacts, the sensation of pain does not diminish." This also proves that the mutant person firing this bullet possesses extremely powerful and terrifying strength. Zhang Yi was unaware that the opponent had a mutant person to block the bullets. He just kept firing in that direction. His ammunition was abundant. Whenever he ran out, he would switch to a new gun. After reclaiming the Xishan base, he had a lot of sniper rifles. After 5 to 6 minutes, the soldiers from the Zhao Yu base completely moved out of Zhang Yi's sniper range. Zhang Yi thought, "Successfully escaped, huh? It seems they are waiting for a few more people to arrive before thinking of a way to approach and attack." Zhang Yi smirked, but it didn't matter who came. They had to be prepared to face my sudden attacks. Through the communication device, the teammates discovered that the sound of gunfire had stopped and hurriedly asked Zhang Yi about the situation. "How's it going on your side?" Zhang Yi replied calmly, "I killed dozens of their people. After that, they all retreated. Perhaps they are waiting for other forces to gather enough numbers before launching an attack together." Everyone was astonished. Chun Lei exclaimed, "You killed dozens of people by yourself? That's unbelievable. You truly are an incredibly strong leader." Zhang Yi also calmly said, "There's nothing strange about it, just basic operations. If I couldn't even manage such basic tasks, then absorbing so much mutant person power would be pointless. Superpowers come in various levels. Right now, Zhang Yi in Tianhai City is probably unmatched. After all, he has absorbed the superpower of Lang Feng, who used to be a top mutant person in Tianhai City. Zhang Yi continued, sniping from a distance and defense are my specialties. If they break through my firing perimeter and advance to the front lines, you will have to step up and block them when necessary. My divine power can easily handle several mutant persons. The combination of divine power and precise sniping, although it consumes a lot of energy, is extremely effective in attacking. Only mutant persons with super strong defensive abilities can withstand this type of attack. Chun-Li smiled cheerfully. Let's see if they can survive our leader's ambush. Zhang Yi did not show any arrogance to him. This was just a normal minor incident. At that moment, at the base, Zhao Yu had retreated to a safe distance. Wai Dinghe immediately requested a casualty report. The report was not very optimistic. One vehicle was completely destroyed. 3 others were heavily damaged. It would be very difficult to drive back. 2 team leaders were slightly injured, and 35 regular soldiers had died. Wai Dinghe, with a very gloomy expression, wondered, how could this happen? A failure right from the start. There was a mutant person in Zhang Yi's team who was so powerful. This was truly unreasonable. As a top mutant person, Wai Dinghe had a certain understanding of the capability levels of mutant people. He had never witnessed anything like this. He could not imagine someone being able to shoot from more than 3 kilometers away, yet penetrate 3 thick steel plates along with body armor. He thought to himself, could it be that a disaster-level mutant person has appeared in Tianhai City? Wai Dinghe quickly deduced that to focus training in one area to the highest level, there would definitely be weaknesses. No one could be perfect and flawless like a hexagon. After a moment of reflection, he asserted again, no, it's not that scary. It's just a long-range attack. If that's the case, he must be very weak in close combat. So we just need to approach the hiding place, taking advantage of blind spots in his line of sight to avoid his ranged attacks. Breaking into the hiding spot, that sniper will no longer be a threat to us. Chen Jingguang, with a painful expression after taking a hit from Zhang Yi, said, Leader, the enemy sniper is too terrifying. We can't continue to attack head-on. Wai Dinghe agreed. I think we should take a longer route, staying out of his range. Chen Jingguang asked, a longer route? If we consider the effective sniper range of over 3 kilometers from Zhang Yi's group, we'll have to make quite a detour. Chen Jingguang opened the map on his satellite phone, pointing to the location of Sujia town. Attacking from here is quite good. This area has plenty of cover to avoid getting shot. Wai Dinghe nodded. Good idea, but we shouldn't rush. Let's find a hiding place first. Chen Jingguang didn't understand. Hiding? Haven't we already been discovered? What good is hiding now? Wai Dinghe smiled coldly, his eyes exuding a ruthless demeanor. We cannot let a sniper make us suffer without retaliation. We must also make them experience the feeling of being hunted like prey. Not long after, the convoy from Yangsheng base arrived from another direction. What awaited them was similar to the scene that had unfolded before. As they entered Zhang Yi's effective shooting range, his hunt officially began. This time, with the experience he had gained, he had become smarter. He started by shooting out the tires of the cars, followed by killing the drivers. As each car came to a halt one by one, the convoy from Yangsheng base began to panic. They first tried to use the vehicles to locate the hidden sniper. Their scenario was not much different. Zhang Yi could eliminate each person one by one, their heads bursting like ripe watermelons, arms sticking out from the gaps in the cars, also shot to pieces. Ah, my arm, Seo Hong Lion is over here. Quickly organize the soldiers to counterattack. We must find and deal with that damn sniper. How dare he ambush in this place? He really doesn't fear death. However, no matter how hard the people of Yangsheng base tried to search, they could not find the position of the hidden sniper. No one could imagine that someone could attack from such a long distance. In the convoy, suddenly a flash of white rushed forward. A bullet shot straight at the convoy, and that white figure intercepted it directly. In midair, sparks erupted as the bullet fired by Zhang Yi was unexpectedly deflected. However, that white figure was also pushed back several steps from the counterattack. Zhang Yi chuckled softly, clearly observing the figure of the person. Haha, is there finally someone worthy appearing? It was a tall and thin individual with a head resembling that of a wolf or dog, covered in silvery gray fur. Clearly, this was a mutant person of the beast-human type. It was no wonder that this person had such agility and strength, enough to take a bullet from Zhang Yi. When Zhang Yi spotted him, this beastman also saw Zhang Yi. His eyes had the ability to see things that humans could not. He was stunned, thinking to himself, is that how far away it is? The Hound Liu Khan narrowed his pupils, feeling it was difficult to handle. With his speed and skill, if it were a one-on-one fight, he could kill his opponent in a few dozen seconds. But right now, his opponent was hiding, and he could not recklessly attack. Before Liu Kang could think, Zhang Yi's bullet shot toward him again. Liu Kang used his sharp claws against his massive form to block the bullet. Zhang Yi was not in a rush and continued to attack steadily. He was only consuming bullets and a little superpower. Meanwhile, Liu Kang could lose his life with just one mistake. This kind of no-loss profit deal was what Zhang Yi liked the most. 1 shot, 2 shots, 3 shots, 4 shots. Liu Kang, nicknamed Hound, finally felt tired and his claws started to tremble. He thought to himself, even as a mutant beastman with strong physical abilities, continuously stopping 3 or 4 shots from a sniper is still a huge burden on me. As Liu Kang stepped back, he did not show anger, but instead smirked and said, "Ready." At that moment, an armored vehicle with a great cannon inside aimed directly at Zhang Yi. A shell whistled from the barrel, flying toward Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi frowned. The opponent was using heavy weapons, which was really interesting. He opened his superpower space and thought, carrying heavy weapons as well. This is quite clever. The shell seemed to disappear into the space, not destroying anyone or any structure. They vanished silently behind the door of the space. Inside the artillery vehicle, everyone waited with anticipation for the familiar explosion, but after a few seconds of waiting, they saw nothing. "What the hell?" one artilleryman said with a confused expression. After a moment, a bullet shot through him, causing him to fall heavily inside the vehicle. A mournful cry echoed from within. In another artillery vehicle, the soldiers were so terrified that they wanted to vomit. They couldn't believe what was happening right before their eyes. But then, they calmed down and prepared to counterattack by firing back. One soldier shouted loudly, "Fight back! Keep fighting back!" On the battlefield, the more afraid of death you are, the easier it is to die. Offense is the best method of defense. However, this only applies when the discrepancy in strength between the two sides is not too great. Zhang Yi continued to return the shells toward Xiao Hong Lian's convoy. A few shells were shot toward the castle where Zhang Yi was hiding, but after a while, those projectiles mysteriously disappeared and then flew back towards Xiao Hong Lian's soldiers. Everyone in the convoy suddenly panicked because they were clustered too closely together. If the artillery shells landed, it was uncertain how many would die. One person shouted, "Get out of the way!" Even Xiao Hong Lian's face changed color because there was no one in their ranks who understood defensive capabilities. Hound Liu Kang shouted in anger, his eyes bloodshot, his body growing larger. He quickly flew up, trying to change the trajectory of the cannonball with his body, but the power of the cannonball was incomparable to that of a sniper's bullet. No matter how hard he tried, he could only slightly affect the projectile's trajectory. 4 shells exploded near the convoy, throwing snow dust into the sky, and the powerful vibration made all the vehicles shake. Fortunately, there were no serious casualties. However, Liu Kang was blasted out, blood spewing from his mouth. Xiao Hong Lian quickly made a decision: retreat. In the vehicle fleet of the Yangsheng base, many soldiers threw smoke bombs. The thick smoke quickly enveloped the area, obscuring visibility. They thought that this way could conceal Zhang Yi's view, giving them a chance to withdraw safely. Zhang Yi gently hummed a song, then continued to carry out his attack freely. He muttered, "Just stop by and now you want to leave? This time, I have to treat you all properly." During this time, Zhang Yi injured Liu Kang and killed many soldiers. Despite the heavy losses, Xiao Hong Lian decided not to assault the hiding place. Like the Zhao Yu base, they could not independently attack with their full force. If the 4 houses attacked together, each house needed to contribute and also endure the firepower from the hiding place. After leaving behind 4 vehicles and over 40 people, the Yangsheng base finally retreated to a safe area. Xiao Hong Lian appeared extremely serious, a powerful super sniper. Moreover, the opponent also had the capability to return fire. It could not be determined whether it was one person with all the abilities or 2 people, but each ability was terrifying. She said slowly, "Now I truly understand why they, with only a few people, were able to withstand the attack on the Xishan base for an entire month. There are things you cannot say in front of your subordinates, but based on my judgment, I know that the sniper hiding there is not any less capable than I am." Zhu Qingting ordered everyone to gather and wait for instructions while giving Liu Kang medication to treat his wounds. Fortunately, although there were quite a few casualties, the core fighting strength remained intact and the morale of the troops was not overly shaken. He turned to Xiao Hong Lian and asked for his opinion. "Leader, what will our next action be? A direct assault may have the potential to break through. We are still about 7 kilometers away from the Yun Queste. Along the way, we have no effective means to prevent them from launching ambushes while the enemy can fire back. It's not easy to use guns and artillery." Xiao Hong Lian looked at him calmly and said, "We don't need to continue moving forward. It's best to let the other teams advance first, drawing fire from that sniper and exhausting his superpower." Shu's King Ting nodded and ordered everyone to rest. He said to Seo Hong Lion, I told them to stay put and rest. Meanwhile, Seo Hong Lion picked up the satellite phone and called Wai Dinghe. Hey, Wai Dinghe, where are you guys now? Wai Dinghe on the other end of the phone said, Ah, we are almost there. Have you arrived? Seo Hong Lion smirked. We have traveled a long way. We may arrive last, but we certainly won't be late. Wai Dinghe laughed. I thought you had already arrived. I was going to ask how things are over there. Seo Hong Lian also smiled. What a coincidence, we are heading to the same place. Then let's talk when we meet. Both hung up, thinking in their hearts, you all hurry up and come taste the bullets from that sniper. In Zhang Yi's sight, after the two teams arrived, he killed a few people and then they ran away. The young man murmured, Only a few people have died and they've already run away. What game are you trying to play now? Zhang Yi laughed sinisterly. I want everyone to know that today on the battlefield, everything belongs to me. Chun Lei shouted, If you get the chance, kill all the mutant persons first. After all, we are on the front lines, lessen the pressure for us. Zhang Yi calmly said, I will do my best, but you shouldn't have too many expectations. For mutant persons who have survived until now, especially those who are physically enhanced and beastmen, the effectiveness of guns against them has diminished significantly. He shrugged. You all know that only weak opponents can double my strength. When facing strong opponents, I will automatically hide. He spoke in a low voice. I intentionally let the opponent recognize my counterattack capability, making them hesitant to use large caliber weapons. With this situation, the first defense line can hold out longer. After all, without using large caliber guns, it would be very difficult to break through the thick ice and snow wall at the defense line. With Zhang Yi's spatial door ability being limited, it primarily opens a door in space and is not easy to maneuver. Therefore, it cannot be used to shield a defense line that is thousands of meters long. Zhang Yi had already showcased this ability, treating it as a threatening force that could be maximized. Zhang Yi, holding the gun, muttered, Who will be the next to arrive? It could be Worship the Snow Sect or King Fu Base. Both are my partners in this operation. However, doing nothing does not mean missing out on a perfect attack opportunity. Zhang Yi's worries quickly disappeared as he saw a large group of Worship the Snow Sect followers running toward him across the snow field. A lot, about more than 1,000 people. Zhang Yi told himself, I won't waste bullets on them. He chose not to shoot at these people. Killing these ordinary followers held no significance. There had been agreements between the two sides, and when needed, they would become helpers for Zhang Yi. Zhang Yi reminded everyone, Worship the Snow Sect has also arrived. Now, apart from King Fu Base, the other three groups are all present. Uncle Wang asked rationally, Did we say before that the Snow Sect and King Fu Base are the ones helping us? If they also join the attack, should we kill them? Zhang Yi replied, If they approach the defense line, then kill them without mercy. Uncle Wang breathed a sigh of relief, showing his ease. Okay, I understand. If that's the case, then everything becomes much simpler. Uncle Wang bent down and pulled up a green cloth, under which were heavy ammunition and several guns. These large caliber machine guns could penetrate armored vehicles. If used to shoot at people, just one bullet could turn a person to ash. After the people from the Snow Sect arrived at the designated location, they did not detect anyone from other forces. They also found it a bit strange. Zhang Yixian felt that something was off. However, he only did a cursory inspection and did not continue to move forward, as they themselves had come merely to take advantage of the opportunity, having no real intention of risking their lives against Zhang Yi. Zhang Yixian said, If Zhang Yi can fend off several attacks and exhaust the forces of the other three families, we will ambush from behind. If Zhang Yi cannot block them, we will also have to break our promise and join the fight for benefits. Zhang Yixian said with a smirk, There are no eternal friends or eternal enemies, only eternal benefits. After they got closer to the hideout, the King Fu Base also arrived. They moved slower due to traffic, but led a large and powerful team of sled dogs. Leader Sing Tian sat on a sled pulled by strong snow dogs, followed by over 500 soldiers in blue combat gear filled with strong fighting spirit. When they approached the shelter of Zhang Yi, Sing Tian took out his binoculars to observe. He ordered his soldiers, Without my order, no one is allowed to launch an attack on Zhang Yi's shelter. Today, we mainly come to watch the show. The four factions gradually gathered in full, and the time had come for them to attack together as planned. As the one who proposed this siege, Seo Hong Lion called a meeting with many people, inviting the other leaders. Seo Hong Lion asked, Has everyone gotten close? If so, according to the established plan, we will attack the refuge from 4 directions. During the call, there were many people. At this moment, Sing Tan said, We plan to attack from behind the refuge. Wai Dinghe was skeptical. The refuge is backed by a low mountain range. You plan to climb over it. Even though the mountain isn't high, only about 100 meters, crossing in a snowstorm is not easy, not to mention launching an attack for the top of the mountain. Xing Tian said to the other 3 leaders, "That's why we can surprise them. Let the main front be handled by you. We will attack from behind." In his heart, Xing Tian thought, "I am only here to watch the drama, circling around to the back so that they do not notice me." The other houses naturally had no objections. Even if they did, it wouldn't necessarily be effective. After all, each house operated independently and no one could command another. Xiao Hong Lian and Wei Dinghe were unaware that Xing Tian had secretly made an agreement with Zhang Yi. In their minds, this was a battle that could not be lost. Wei Dinghe said, "All right, let the 3 of us handle the frontal attack." Xiao Hong Lian added, "When we came, we discovered they had a very strong sniper. You all need to be careful and focus on one target. Additionally, among them, there is a mutant person capable of firing back artillery shells. Therefore, when using large caliber guns, think carefully. Otherwise, we will end up hurting ourselves." Wei Dinghe also said, I also want to remind everyone about this. We are also suffering quite a bit in this matter. They think that Worship the Snow Sect and King Fu Base have been ambushed by Zhang Yi, saying this to avoid affecting themselves during the chaos. Xing Tian and Zhang Yixian had a similar reaction. "Okay, understood. They themselves only came to cause trouble, not actually participate in the fighting, mainly to show their power. However, when learning that Zhang Yi possessed a rare superpower and could shoot back missiles, they were somewhat surprised. This meant that they could not use heavy weapons." Xiao Hong Lian emphasized, "Good, let's set a time, 2:30 p.m. We will launch an attack from all sides together." Yang Sheng and Zhao Yu Beis coincidentally chose the direction of Sujia Town to approach the Yunque Mansion. This area has few coverings around the Yunque Mansion. To deal with Zhang Yi's sniper, they had thought carefully during their rest. Furthermore, on the way, they used snowstorms or smoke bombs to disrupt Zhang Yi's line of sight. When Zhang Yi realized all of this, he was not in a hurry. He had anticipated the enemy's plot. The enemy was not foolish and wouldn't recklessly rush in his line of sight. However, to attack, they still had to get out of the vehicle and face the risk of being shot. He knew there was no need to rush. Every excellent hunter knows to be patient. At this moment, Yang Xin-Sin's voice rang in Zhang Yi's ears. "Brother Zhang Yi, there are enemies appearing behind the mountain." Zhang Yi's gaze focused. Xin-Sin transmitted the image from behind the mountain for Zhang Yi to see. When Zhang Yi saw the figures appearing and disappearing behind the mountain, he felt more relaxed. So it's them. These people don't need to worry. They must be planning to go higher, watch the show more clearly. Zhang Yi wasn't too worried about the appearance of Xing Tian and the group of people behind the mountain. He shouted into the radio, "The enemy has appeared, prepare for battle." Each person in the refuge was now on high alert. This battle could decide their fate. Yang Sheng and Zhao Yu, along with their armored vehicles, began to advance toward the refuge. All the soldiers were equipped with weapons and wore combat gear ready for the fight. In addition, there were powerful mutant persons preparing to take action. The Worship the Snow Sect and their followers split into different directions to approach, carrying guns and traditional weapons such as sticks, sabers, and swords. When the distance between them and the front line was only 300 meters, Zhang Yi suddenly shouted, "Attack!" At the control center, Yang Xin-Sin decisively pressed the button aimed at Yang Sheng and Zhao Yu. The snow wall began to crack, the ice shattered by the powerful fire from cannons and machine guns. The deafening sound of explosions echoed across the battlefield. Even tanks and heavy armored vehicles could not withstand the force of the artillery. Many vehicles were blown away and crashed into those behind them. The ear-splitting explosions startled all factions, making them scream. Zhang Yixian felt dazed, artillery, tanks, and even machine guns. My God, how did they get such weapons? Xiao Hong Lian also began to panic, unable to believe her eyes. Heavy weapons like these could only be held by the Taishan base throughout the entire Tian High City. Had they really looted the entire arms cache of the Taishan base? How could they have done that? Transporting heavy weapons and ammunition is very difficult, making it hard to apply them on the real battlefield. But today, they had become the first group to use such weapons in combat. There was no time to be stunned. Xiao Hong Lian hurriedly commanded her soldiers to disperse and start counterattacking. She shouted into the radio, "Disperse immediately and carry out a counterattack." In the first wave of attack, they were caught off guard, and many were devastated into fragments, with armored vehicles also being defeated. Xiao Hong Lian said with a cold gaze, "This form of defense is just a wall of ice. Break it down and move through. As long as we can reach that refuge, we will win." Despite the surprise attack, she remained calm because Wu Boiren had told her that this refuge had no weapon systems, just a sturdy structure on the outside. Therefore, as long as they could break through the outer defense line, their chances of victory would be very high. The soldiers on the vehicle feared being wiped out and hurriedly grabbed their weapons to jump off. But as soon as they left the vehicle, they immediately became targets for Zhang Yi. Calmly standing from above, he began his surprise attack. The process of assassinating the enemy was somewhat monotonous. He just needed to aim carefully, pull the trigger, and then reload. Each time he repeated this action, another soldier lost his life. By now, Zhang Yi had instinctively used the sniper rifle, taking down an average of one soldier every 3 seconds. On the other side of the mountain, although Xing Tian initially planned not to intervene, he couldn't help but swallow hard and say, I still wonder how Zhang Yi dares to confront so many forces. It turns out he also has a sniper assassin hidden away. Xing Tian felt fortunate and relieved that he had wisely chosen this refuge to fish. He continued to instruct his subordinates, you guys shoot, make some noise, but be careful not to hit anyone. Next to him, a soldier scratched his head and asked the leader, is there anyone around here? Xing Tian tapped him on the head. Open fire when I tell you, don't talk too much. Remember, absolutely no injuries to anyone. Xing Tian pounded his chest and said loudly, I, Xing Tian, am a straightforward and resolute man, always keeping my promises. When we take something from others, we must repay it fully. Unless Zhang Yi is defeated, we will never bring disaster upon them. Therefore, gunfire suddenly rang out from behind this mountain, leading people to believe that they were hastily initiating an attack. On the front line, the battle was extremely fierce. 2 large bases were unexpectedly attacked, resulting in heavy casualties in a short period. Xiao Hong Lion gritted her teeth, watching the soldiers being killed and feeling regret. She shouted into the radio, this approach is not feasible. We miscalculated the defensive firepower of this hiding place. If we had known that Zhang Yi possessed such strong firepower, they would definitely have been better prepared. But who could have guessed that a makeshift army composed of warehouse management staff in apocalyptic conditions would have such professional military firepower? At that moment, Wai Dinghe's voice echoed in Xiao Hong Lion's ears. We must unite our forces to break through this outer defense. Xiao Hong Lion agreed with Wai Dinghe's thinking. Their firepower was mainly concentrated here and they were lacking manpower. As long as they could break through the defense line, they would be completely at a disadvantage. Wai Dinghe spoke urgently. You support me with firepower, and I will resolve this issue. At this point, Xiao Hong Lion responded. Xiao Hong Lion orders the soldiers to conduct fire suppression, collaborating with Zhao Yu's base to attack the iced and snow defense line.